Imagine dedicating your life to saving others, only to find yourself crushed by the system you trusted. Now, picture standing face to face with the person responsible for its collapse, knowing they're relying on you to save them. What would you do? Would you help, or would you walk away? This is the story of a nurse who faced this impossible choice. A story of sacrifice, betrayal, and ultimately, redemption. But to understand her decision, we need to start from the beginning. Samantha Flores, known to her patients as Sam, was a nurse who'd once loved her job. In her early days, she was the kind of nurse who'd go above and beyond, staying late to comfort a grieving family, bringing homemade soup to her elderly patients, and even covering shifts for co-workers who needed a break. To Sam, nursing wasn't just a career, it was a calling. But over the years, the system began to wear her down. Budget cuts meant fewer staff and longer hours. Supplies were rationed, and the emotional toll of losing patients to preventable complications grew heavier. Every shift felt like a battlefield, and Sam, like many others, was running on empty. The final blow came when a new healthcare bill gutted funding for public hospitals, forcing her facility to close its doors. The face of this decision, Senator William Harrington. Sam's life post-closure was a shadow of what it had been. She took a job at a private clinic where the patients were wealthier, but her heart wasn't in it. Each day felt mechanical, devoid of the purpose that had once driven her. One rainy evening, she got a frantic call from a local paramedic. A high-profile patient needed urgent care. Sam was the closest available nurse. Reluctantly, she agreed, not knowing the patient's identity. When she arrived, her heart stopped. Lying unconscious on the stretcher was Senator Harrington. His face was pale, his breathing labored. The man who'd defunded the healthcare system she'd devoted her life to was now in her care. For a brief moment, anger surged. As Sam stabilized Harrington, memories flooded back. She thought of Maria, the diabetic patient who couldn't afford her insulin after the funding cuts. Of James, a young father who died from a treatable infection because the hospital didn't have enough beds. These weren't just stories. They were wounds she carried. For a fleeting second, she considered walking away. But something deep inside, her sense of duty perhaps, kept her rooted. Nurses don't get to choose their patients, she reminded herself. So, she did what she'd always done. She saved a life. Over the next few days, Sam became Harrington's primary caregiver. Despite her lingering resentment, she observed something surprising. The senator was not the heartless villain she'd imagined. He was vulnerable, even human. One evening, while adjusting his IV drip, Harrington stirred. You're the nurse who saved me," he rasped. Sam hesitated. Yes, I am. Thank you," he whispered, before drifting back to sleep. That simple word sparked something unexpected. Doubt. Could there be more to this man than the policies he'd championed? Their conversations grew deeper. Harrington, now lucid, began asking Sam about her experiences in the healthcare system. Initially, her responses were curt, but one night, she unleashed years of pent-up frustration. She told him about the patients she'd lost, the colleagues who'd burned out, and the systemic failures she'd witnessed firsthand. To her surprise, Harrington listened. He didn't deflect or justify. He absorbed her words with a solemn expression. I never realized," he said quietly. "I thought I was doing what was best for the economy, but I see now that I've hurt people. Hurt you." Sam didn't know what to say. For years, she'd dreamed of confronting him, but she'd never imagined it would feel like this. When word spread that Harrington was considering reversing his stance on healthcare funding, the backlash was swift. Lobbyists, donors, and even members of his party pressured him to stay the course. Meanwhile, Sam faced her challenges. Her colleagues at the clinic learned about her role in Harrington's recovery, and accused her of betraying their shared struggle. "How can you help the man who ruined us?" one nurse spat. Sam was torn. She'd begun to see a glimmer of humanity in Harrington, but was it enough to justify the sacrifices she'd made? Harrington asked Sam to join him for a press conference, where he planned to announce a new healthcare initiative. "I need you there," he said. "You're the reason I'm doing this." Sam hesitated. Could she trust him? And even if she could, was it worth the risk to her own reputation? The day of the press conference arrived. As Harrington stepped up to the podium, Sam watched from the wings. His speech was heartfelt, acknowledging his mistakes and pledging to make amends. But then, chaos erupted. Protesters stormed the venue, accusing Harrington of hypocrisy. Security whisked him away, leaving Sam to face the crowd alone. In that moment, she realized the depth of the anger and pain that his policies had caused. Later that night, Harrington called Sam. "I'm sorry," he said. "I've caused so much damage, but I'm not giving up. Will you help me fix this?" For the first time, Sam saw genuine remorse in his eyes. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she thought of Maria, James, and all the others who deserved better. Maybe, just maybe, this was a chance to honor their memory. Sam agreed to work with Harrington, helping him craft policies that prioritized people over profit. Together, they faced relentless opposition, but they also gained unexpected allies. Slowly, public opinion began to shift. Months later, a new healthcare bill passed, restoring funding to public hospitals and expanding access to care. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. For Sam, it marked the beginning of healing, not just for the system, but for herself. Sam returned to her roots, volunteering at a reopened public hospital. Though the scars of the past remained, she'd found a renewed sense of purpose. As for Harrington, he became a vocal advocate for healthcare reform, proving that even the most unlikely people could change. Sam's story is a powerful reminder that even in the face of injustice, compassion can lead to change. So the next time you feel powerless, remember, one act of kindness can ripple out in ways you never imagined. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs hope today, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that inspire.